Long final before it. All right, let's dive in. Joe Musso, pleased to be alongside my guys, Lige Douzable, Ryan Harris, Emery Hunt. Fellas, you could really come up with your thoughts here at halftime and copy and paste them here. Second half, we did see some resistance, but far too little, far too late from the Kansas City Chiefs. We said at half, this was the group up front, and they should be proud of what they did. Defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles, how pivotal today?
Massive. They essentially, from the very first whistle, set the tone for this game. Josh Sweat, Milton Williams. We didn't hear Jalen Carter's name a lot. That's because he was double-teamed a lot. Jalen Hunt on the outside because Nolan Smith actually got banged up, missed a few plays. Jalen Hunt came in and had to have a sack. So the dominance, not just in the pass rush game, but in the run game as well. We talked about it, Moose, at halftime. I believe the Chiefs had 3 carries for 3 yards. And I told you that was a key for me in this game. When the Philadelphia Eagles only had 6 or 7 guys in the box, were the Chiefs going to be consistent in trying to run the football? Even when they tried, it didn't amount to much, right? So that was the key. They punished the Chiefs' offensive line, and that's how they won this game.
They out-physicaled them. It was multiple players from different angles, which means that you can't schematically stop it. And then Cooper DeJean's interception. I know it's just one little play, but that put Patrick Mahomes in a place we haven't seen him in a Super Bowl ever. He was gun-shy. He wasn't able to make the throw. His eyes were down. Reception for a touchdown really just separated these two teams, and it never became
his name. So that means he was locking down coverage. Quinyon Mitchell, we even called his name because he was locking down. Every level of this defense did a great job. You guys talked about the defensive line, stopping the run. The linebackers did what they need to do. Zach Bond had an interception. In the secondary, we just spoke about taking a lot of big plays away. So this was a complete game, dominant game from the defensive side of football for Philadelphia.
A second Lombardi for the city of Philadelphia and for the Eagles as they become the first team since the 1985 Bears to tout a top 2 rushing attack and a top 2 total defense. It really played itself out in this game, and I think you said an important word, Ryan, physicality. That's been the calling card of this Eagles team, but did you expect to see such a lopsidedness in that aspect of this game, the willingness at the point of attack?
Did not expect to see that lopsidedness. And conversely, when these two teams faced off in the last Super Bowl, it was the Chiefs that were knocking the heck out of the Eagles. But clearly the Eagles watched that film, were talked about in terms of the physicality in their meeting rooms. But it wasn't just on defense, fellas. I mean, this was on offense, too. The offensive line for the Eagles were dominating all game, receivers creating separation. That's what you need in big games. They took that task and that challenge to be more physical than the Chiefs who have been here, and they succeeded in a big way.
I mean, it's funny when you look at a team just getting physically dominated on both sides of the Hurts' legs, and then we saw the deep ball as a result. The deep passing game was where it needed to be, and on defense, man, we talked about this at halftime, making the plays that are there to be made. They didn't miss any opportunity to turn the ball over. They, again, out-Chiefs the Chiefs in this contest.
I hesitate to say it, so I'll instead ask it. Is unprepared a fair word to use for this Chiefs team today?
It's a fair question to ask, Moose, because we were talking about this upstairs. We were wondering what Andy Reid was doing, right? You stated it multiple times, Moose, on 3rd and 9. They're running 20-yard routes, knowing that the offensive line can't hold up in protection. You're not helping Patrick Mahomes out. And to Ryan's point, once you start getting hit as a quarterback, instead of looking down the field, you're looking at the rush. And Patrick Mahomes was looking at the rush this entire game. So this game, you know what it reminded me of, fellas? It reminded me of the 2020 Super Bowl. Because that's the same way the Chiefs lost versus Tampa Bay Bucks. They got out physical at the line of scrimmage. Their defensive line with Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul got after those tackles just like Josh Sweat and Jalen Hunt did today, and then Milton Williams from the interior defensive line. So we saw the Chiefs make some adjustments after that. That's when they drafted Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. Now it seems like they have a real issue at the tackle position. Where do they go from here as far as trying to mitigate or fix that issue?
I just didn't like it how they were going to continue to go out there in 3, 4, 5 receiver sets, not help those 2 tackles, not put those 2 tight ends out there, and not try to run the football to at least calm the rush down and get yourself back in the ball game. We were laughing and joking watching the game saying, hey, they even crossed 50 yet, not knowing they really hadn't crossed the 50 yet until late, and that is unheard of. But when you try to find ways to get back into a ball game, you get back to basics like Ryan talked about at halftime. We didn't see the Chiefs do that. They just went ahead and tried, hey, we're going to find a way to make a way with our shotgun offense and our 4 wide receiver sets, and the Eagles just teed off on these guys play in, play out.
plenty to sink our teeth into as it pertains to the Chiefs' failures in this game, but this is a celebration of the game we love and a celebration on this day of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it also changes the way we say the name Jalen Hurts. Spectacular again on a Super Bowl stage. Comes up short in his last against the Chiefs, but gets the confetti this time. Ryan, when you take a look at the numbers and beyond those numbers, the performance, that steadiness that he's been for his team all season long, what stood out to you in the way that Jalen Hurts picked apart the Chiefs in this one?
Perseverance and payback. He was clearly going to persevere through the past loss in the Super Bowl. He said he'd be back. They are back, and they won. He needed a couple pieces around him, but he also made key plays at key moments, running the football, pinpoint passing. That throw to Devontae Smith, that was the dagger. That was the nail in the coffin. But he was ready for that moment. The game wasn't too big for him. He matured, and he beat him in the Super Bowl previously, got to watch him win. That's payback, and that's perseverance. That's Jalen Hurts.
To me, the biggest thing that I took from Jalen Hurts' performance was after throwing that interception, right, only up 7-0, the Chiefs could have had all the momentum, right? He never wandered, right? His confidence didn't lag. You talked about it, Ryan, the big pass plays down the field to Devontae Smith. Even when his defense turned it over for him, the crosser to A.J. Brown, just knowing where to go with the football. But I think the biggest thing that he did is when Steve Spagnuolo continued to send pressure, he had some struggles in the first half, was him being able to get out of some trouble and use his legs and scamper and get first downs on pivotal third downs to keep the offense out there on the field. It was almost like a copy and paste from what he did 2 years ago. He did have the one turnover 2 years ago. He had it this game, but it was the way he responded and bounced back. The pivotal plays on third downs to keep his offense on the field and the big-time throws down the field.
Everyone talks about, oh, well, a quarterback has it, but they can't quantify it. But you know it when you see it. Hurts has it. We've seen it time and time again. A guy that got benched in college, came back, didn't transfer, got better when he got his opportunity, but when they needed him the most, he stepped right into the SEC title game and got them that win against Georgia. Then we saw him go to Oklahoma, finish second in the Heisman Trophy to Joe Burrow, go to the NFL, have to start as a backup. Now he's in the starter, 2 Super Bowls, got a Super Bowl victory. But in this ball game, overcoming the adversity of throwing the interception, and the biggest thing that I took away from here is that he knew where to go with the football every time. He had an answer for everything that was thrown at him, and he took what the defense gave him. He didn't try to go big game hunting like a lot of quarterbacks do. He really was able to work himself down the field, and then ultimately the big plays came.
From your mouth to their ears, Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts here.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, hey, we made your money tonight.
Pick them, baby.
This table made your money tonight.
This fella's cleaned up. If you were watching pregame, if you weren't, you know where to find us here on CBS Sports HQ. So much more to dig into here. And immediately from, that talking out of the side of the mouth about Jalen Hurts, a lot of that same can be said about the head coach and Nick Sirianni, who they just might have tried to fire again. Not after this one, but it has been up in the air. It has been touch and go at times, and these are the types of days that define careers. What impressed you about, like we said on the other side, the game plan here from Sirianni?
I would say he probably had a lot of pressure after being here 2 years ago, not getting it done, the redemption to get it done this time. And you talked about it, Moose. It was just like every other week they were trying to fire this guy, right? 2 years ago, he goes to the Super Bowl. They start 2-2 this year. They're talking about at the bye, he might get fired. I'm like, this guy's been to the playoffs every single year. You know how many teams would, for him to keep this group together with all the personalities, Jalen Carter, right? Jalen Hurts, who wants the ball, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown. It takes a special head coach to keep all those personalities together for a common goal. And Nick Sirianni proved that he's a really good coach.
It shows you that there's no one way to find a head coach. And everyone coaches differently, and this is his way. It works for that team. Will it work for all 32? Who knows? All the other 31? Who knows? But for Philly, they got the right guy. He was able to strike the right chords and get this team playing on one accord, going in the right direction. So, yes, he's an outstanding head coach.
He's the happiest person in that locker room because if he loses this game, how do you keep a locker room when you lose 2 Super Bowls in 3 years? So now he doesn't have to worry about any of that. Now he's worrying about where he's eating dinner, what time the parade is, and this is the kind of conversation Nick Sirianni wouldn't let himself have until right now. And so for him, there's less worries, more joy, and now more buy-in next year without having to do anything because you're going to be talking about when you're getting your rings.
You know, we had 2 weeks to do it as we're trying to design game scripts that we see victorious on both sides. And it was hard to look at an Eagles game script that didn't have Saquon Barkley totaling something in the triple digits. Finishes with 57 rushing yards and plenty of that coming sort of amassed. I won't call it garbage time, but overtime. It wasn't what they leaned into and still so dominant. How are they able to remain so multiple, Emery, in your eyes offensively?
Because he's such a dynamic player that you had to account for him as a receiver, which he has some success catching the football, but also his pass pro was where it needed to be. He picked up a couple of key blitzes as well. So he was knocking on the door on all three facets in terms of being a complete back in this ball game. And we saw him start to rip off those bigger runs in the second half because he was able to get those 2 or 3 yard gainers in the first half. But I love the fact that they stayed with the rush attempts. The yards weren't there, but they came in the second half, but he was finding success in other ways.
And he attacked the line of scrimmage with physicality every single rep. Sometimes when a running back doesn't get going, they start slowing down, they start moving their shoulders, trying to look for a hole. Not Saquon tonight. He was firing at that line of scrimmage. Even when he wasn't getting the ball in motion, he was moving like he was going to get the ball. That takes the eyes of the defense. He impacted the game in a huge way.
Well, they were able to stay balanced because of what we talked about in pregame. And I said that Steve Spagnuolo is going to take away what you want to do well. And Drew Tranquill had a heck of a game for the Kansas City Chiefs. He single-handedly was trying to mitigate what Saquon Barkley was going to do. But you got to give a shout-out to the offensive line because we were talking about this upstairs. There were times where Jalen Hurts was back there patting the ball 5-6 seconds and was able to throw the ball down the field. And then to Jalen Hurts, to give him credit, there was times when he saw the blitz was coming and knew exactly where to go with the football because Steve Spagnuolo is going to try to speed up your clock every single time. And that's why I think this was a big mental hurdle for Jalen Hurts, and he passed with flying colors, more specifically in that second quarter and in the third quarter. That pass to Devontae Smith was against pressure, right? The pass to A.J. Brown, the offensive line did a really good job picking up the pressure, which allowed him to win on that drag route to score that touchdown. So they were able to be balanced on offense because of the offensive line play and protection, but then also Jalen Hurts knowing exactly where to go with the football.
Gotta say, hard to lose when you're playing with this crew, fellas.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic work throughout the night and throughout the season. We are just scratching the surface, just getting started here on CBS Sports HQ. Straight ahead, more coming from Super Bowl City. We'll take you out to New Orleans. We got sights, we've got sounds, we've got it all coming up as we take a look at the Eagles in Super Bowls. They capture a second, a win and an atonement for past sin. They take down the Chiefs in a lopsided Super Bowl win. What a moment for this franchise as we welcome you back into CBS Sports HQ, taking you down to field level where Pete Prisco and Bryant McFadden are joined by quite a guest here, fellas, a Super Bowl champion in Big Play Slay. Mac, what do you got?
Big Play Slay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
First and foremost, Super Bowl champion.
Come on now. Put it on my resume.
Big Play Slay. How does that sound to you knowing that you're a champion right now?
Man, it feel good, man. It took me 12 years to get here, man. I'm so thankful, man. My Lord and Savior, man, he really been doing a blessing on me, man, since I've been, put on this earth. So I'm thankful, man. I'm thankful for my teammates, but, man, I'm finna love this.
No question.
You guys didn't really have to do a whole heck of a lot on the back end with that front getting after him a little bit today.
Oh, yeah, man. That's what we do. That's what it is, man. Team collective win, man. The front doing their job, and we doing our job on the back. And we made sure that he had easy access to throw to these guys because we wanted him to get to the second or third read. And, that's what we did. That's why them boys were getting after him, man. Them boys are already up there hunting. And, man, them boys Sweat was out there going crazy the whole time. So we appreciate the boys.
At what point, now, the game is over, Slay. So I know sometimes when you're prepping for guys, you want to keep things internal. It's over now. What was the game plan coming into this game that you guys felt like you could dominate the great Pat Mahomes, and especially with the guys up front? What was the game plan?
To make sure we play two plays. With his ability to stay in plays every game, we just made sure we play two. We knew what routes combinations was coming, but we know what watch no film a lot is that. Routes cancel out. You guys do a great job of plastering and finding them. Mahomes do a great job of finding them guys. He made a great play back in his zone with only to one on the scrum drill. And, so he got that ability to do all that stuff. So we just made sure, stay around him, just finish plays.
When he had one first down in the first half, he had one first down. He just looked frustrated. Did you notice? Did you see it on his face? Did you see it on their face?
Well, we ain't looking at nobody's face but the team, our teammates. Man. We just look at each other and highlight it. Let's keep it here. Because we've been there before. 22, we was up going into the 10, and we know what type of guy he's in. So we wouldn't done into the zip clock say 0-0, man. We didn't care how frustrated he was or whatever it would have to be. We just went out there and executed.
Big Play, the last question for you. When you look at two individuals that are associated with your team, your head coach Nick Sirianni and your star quarterback Jalen Hurts, oftentimes from the outside it's been criticized. Right? What does this say about those two individuals?
Man, they got leaders, man. It's off for sure with the head coach leading the way. With our quarterback, picking it up. individual, man. Two great individuals, man. Coach did a great job, man. I understand how, a coach, maybe want to coach their own. Been to the playoffs 4 times since you've been here. 2 Super Bowl champions, 2 times since, went to the Super Bowl twice. Jalen been a starter, been in the playoffs. So, we don't understand the criticism, but I know one thing you do. We do a lot of flu. You know what I'm saying? Them guys are ready to go after.
You hinted that maybe this might be the end for you. You haven't said if it was or not.
I got at least one more. We got one more? At least one more. I got to play a lot more, but you know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking it's not for me like that.
And you got one more in Philly. One more in Philly?
Yeah. That's where I want to be. That's where I want to be. I want to be in Philly, man. I love the city. The city love me. No question. Hey, so let's get it rocking.
No question. Super Bowl champion, Derek. I know you want to go find a fan and go party, man. So enjoy yourself next Thursday, man. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
We appreciate the Eagle captain taking some time here on CBS Sports HQ as we dig deeper with Pete Prisco and the 2-time champion Bryant McFadden. Fellas, of all the different outcomes, of all the different possibilities that we've mulled over the past 2 weeks, Pete Prisco, is this a thought that even entered your mind?
Never. Look, I think the Eagles could win the game? Absolutely. Did I think they would do it in dominating fashion like that? No way. But you know what it is, Joe? It's a lesson to everybody out there, and we preach it all the time. There's only so many big people who can play this game and play it well. And if you have on both the offensive and defensive lines, you're going to win a lot of football games. And we saw that play out on this field behind us tonight.
And one thing that I noticed, Joe, from start to finish in this ball game was the gap in talent. The talent in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles. That showed up in the first quarter when you look at the young stars, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, veterans like Josh Sweat. Those guys won their one-on-one matchups. And it made the guys in the second and third level, like you said, their jobs were easier because they didn't have to bring any extra hats to put pressure on Pat Mahomes. And that was one of your keys. Being able to put relentless pressure on Pat Mahomes, only rushing 4 and dropping everyone back into the throwing lanes and minimizing those passing opportunities. They did a great job in doing that. And they just dominated from start to finish. And I, for one, felt like, Joe, when I watched this game and me and Pete, we watched it together, I was waiting for that Pat Mahomes magical moment to kind of surface. Because I said before this game, I said, will we see another slow first half start by the Kansas City Chiefs? Because remember, the previous 2, we saw that. Pete said, no, we won't. But we saw it, and then I was waiting, Joe. I know you were waiting. It never happened because the sense of urgency was there, and the Eagles, they never took their foot off the gas. Joe, when you can rush 4 people and 4 people only with that kind of pressure, you're going to win a lot of football games in the National Football League.
There was an apparent talent disparity here between these 2 teams, and maybe a disparity in preparation as well. One team comes out with the hair on fire. The other, as you said there, never really got the engine to turn over. But I know you just gave credit to Jalen Hurts with Big Play Slay and the head coach and Nick Sirianni, but that talent deficit that we talk about, maybe that goes one higher here in the job that Howie Roseman did in putting this group together. I want to read you some names that were not there 365 days ago. Saquon Barkley, Vic Fangio, Kellen Moore, Zach Bond, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Mekhi Becton, all first year here with the team and all big parts of this championship DNA. How do you put into words the job, the construction of this group, Pete Prisco?
Howie's done a great job. I mean, look, he's been in the Super Bowl, he's won Super Bowls, but this team, the way it's been structured, the way they put it together, with the offensive and defensive lines being the key to it, that tells you. But you look around, look, Milton Williams, free agent, Josh Sweat, free agent, got a lot of guys who are free agents. He's got a lot of work to do, but you know what? He put the team together, and he did it with the mind being beat people up, and they played bully ball tonight.
All right, Pete, it's just me and you right now. B-Mac, can you go get us A.J. Brown? I'm going to talk with Pete here for a second. You're going to go grab us A.J.?
Hold on, somebody just say, I hear you. I can hear you, but I'm looking too, so just know I'm paying attention. But as the player's moving around, I'm trying to circle. But to Pete's point, Howie is like the mad scientist. When you look at him, he looks so innocent and pleasant. But when he's in that meeting room, when he's dissecting film and trying to add talent, he goes into beast mode. Think about the guys you just mentioned, Joe. But think about some of the other guys they drafted and developed. Jalen Hurts of the world, the Josh Sweats of the world, Arden Darius Slade. You look at some of the guys on the offensive line, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Jalen Carter. All of these guys are draft picks. So when you draft right, but most importantly, you develop, you become a solid organization. And that's what we're seeing with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what we've seen over the last few years, and how we have this ability to identify talent, but also get the right individuals in the building to develop talent. Because when you hit on draft picks, you win. When you miss on those hits, you will lose.
And it's a big win here in Super Bowl 59 for the Eagles. A final thought here, Pete. We know Darius Slay just weighed in with what he thought his quarterback meant to this team. But what does this moment mean to this quarterback? Because there's one thing winning a Super Bowl. There's another one taking down what will be an all-time great in Patrick Mahomes. Reminds me of Eli Manning and the wins over Tom Brady. What does this moment mean for the way we say the name Jalen Hurts, Pete?
There were a lot of people who still were questioning Jalen Hurts. Remember, on into this playoff run, he wasn't putting up big numbers, and he was holding the football. And people were wondering if he's playing the same type of football. Well, I think he answered those questions tonight out on the field. He was outstanding. He ran the ball. He was precise with his passing. He made one bad throw, bad read. I mean, it was actually a pretty good reading on a one-on-one. He just made a bad throw. But he played outstanding. He deserved to win the MVP. And I think he quieted a lot of critics with his play today. Being able to do what he did on the biggest stage against that guy, that's telling me, Matt. Joe, I remember about a month and a half ago, we were in the studio, and I addressed some of the fans that were critical on Jalen Hurts. Stop. Jalen Hurts can play football. And the unique thing that I love about Jalen Hurts, even when he's not the catalyst of their success, like when Saquon is taking over, he doesn't complain. He doesn't talk. He's not a distraction. He goes about his business as a professional because he wants to win. But if you need him to get into that fast car and pick up the pace and do numbers, he could do that. He's shown the ability to do that. And one thing about Jalen Hurts, everywhere he's been, he's won. Everywhere he's been, he's won, and he's the catalyst of what this entire team, the mentality is. A selfish group that wants to win and wants that sticky Lombardi, and Pete, they're holding it right now. You know what? Think about that. They held Barkley under 3 yards to carry, and it didn't matter. That's how good Jalen Hurts played today.
Well, we appreciate you guys so much. Work to be done, I'm sure, out there for our field producer, Bryant McFadden, who's working the crowd right now. Pete Prisco, 36 Super Bowls, a tip of the cap to you as we hoist another Lombardi here on CBS Sports HQ. Thank you, fellas. That's my guy, B-Mac. That's my guy, B-Mac. Man got on a plane for 20 weeks to come do football with us here on CBS Sports HQ. I appreciate him. I appreciate the effort out in the field as well. The two-time champ, Bryant McFadden, never ceases to entertain us. Entertaining night here out of Jalen Hurts. Quarterbacks to lose their Super Bowl day.
Cowboys Nation, another season has come and gone, and once again, we're left with more questions than answers. After another disappointing year, the discussion has turned to what changes need to be made. Could Alvin Kamara be the key to turning things around? Or is this just another baseless rumor? Today, we break it all down. If you love staying updated on the Cowboys, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a like. Let's get into it. Segment 1, the Kamara Cowboys connection. The Cowboys' running game has been flat out disappointing. After Ezekiel Elliott's departure and Tony Pollard failing to be the every down back the team hoped for, Dallas is once again looking for answers. Enter Alvin Kamara, a proven veteran who has been one of the most dangerous dual-threat running backs in the league. Kamara's ability to make plays in both the rushing and passing game makes him an ideal weapon for an offense that desperately needs a spark. At 29 years old, Kamara may not be the same explosive runner he once was, but he's still dangerous. Just ask the Cowboys defense, who watched him carve them up for 115 yards and 3 touchdowns earlier this season. Former NFL quarterback and analyst Robert Griffin III even suggested that Dallas should explore trading for Kamara if the Saints decide to clean house. And let's be honest, after yet another disappointing season for the Cowboys, they need to start making aggressive moves. Segment 2, Kamara responds to the rumors. Visual, Kamara's tweets on screen, reaction clips from fans. But before Cowboys fans could start getting their hopes up, Kamara himself was quick to shut the rumors down. A since-deleted post suggested he had requested a trade, to which Kamara responded, "I ain't requested a trade, so that's a lie." he followed it up with another message, making it clear he's staying put. If there's any news, I'll report that from my couch, and even confirmed he'd like to retire as a Saint. But let's be real, what if the Saints decide to make big changes? Could their front office decide it's time for a rebuild and look to move on from a high-priced veteran like Kamara? That's where things get interesting. If Dallas is serious about fixing their issues, they can't ignore opportunities like this. Segment 3, the contract challenge. One major hurdle? Money. Kamara is in year 4 of a 5-year, $75 million deal, but the real problem is next season, he's set for a massive $29 million cap hit. For the Cowboys to even consider this move, Jerry Jones would have to get very creative with contract restructuring. And let's be honest, being aggressive in trades hasn't exactly been Jerry's strong suit lately. Segment 4, does it even make sense? Even if the numbers worked, would Kamara be worth the investment? His rushing production has declined, going from a league-best 6.1 yards per carry as a rookie to just 3.9 over the last 4 seasons. But his pass-catching ability? That could be a game-changer in this struggling offense, especially since the Cowboys' current backfield has failed to make plays in the passing game. At this point, anything would be an improvement. The Cowboys have now suffered another postseason failure, and it's time for some serious changes. The fans are frustrated, the team lacks identity, and with Mike McCarthy's job hanging by a thread, bold moves have to be made. Segment 5, what now for the Cowboys? So, what happens now? Do the Cowboys take the conservative route and hope for improvement from within? Or do they finally take a gamble and bring in proven talent like Kamara to shake things up? The 2025 offseason is shaping up to be one of the most critical in franchise history. The clock is ticking, and Cowboys fans have every right to demand better. So Cowboys fans, what do you think? Should Jerry Jones finally get aggressive and go after Kamara, or is it just another pipe dream? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the latest Cowboys news. See you in the next video.